Okay.
So, as far as I know, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, standard setup is to have one tanky character in the solo lane, which I think most is either left or the right lane, I'm always confused. A mage wave clear kind of character in the mid lane, one character that roams the jungle, and then a carry, which is like a late game damage dealer, like it's called a hunter, I think, here, and a support character in the duo lane. That's like the normal meta that like everybody in Denmark plays. That's played in like tournaments.
Wow, interesting.
So the reasoning is that different people have different roles. So the mid laner gains power relatively early and mid game, and like pushes the game in the early and mid game, whereas the carry is basically just farming up for about half an hour, and then in the end game gets kind of deadly unkillable, but at that time is pretty weak. The support basically has the job of like keeping that guy alive and being a little bit annoying. The jungler is basically roaming around trying to gank people all the fucking time. And I'm never really sure what the full strategy for the offlaner is. I guess don't die and be there in team fights. Dave, Shibi, any insights?
Offlaner is basically, typically, at least in Dota, just try not to die and make as much use of like the solo XP as you can so that you can be relevant in the end game. It's basically just handle that lane as well as you can and yeah, try to do it as efficiently as possible.
Yeah. So when we talk about like early and late game, early game is normally in MOBAs the phase where you like stick to your lane a lot, tend more to like level up small ganks and stuff. That is present in Smite, but it's not that strong. I mean, it's still pretty roamy, I would say.
Yeah, try not dying.
Yeah. Relatively early on, you move around a lot. Like, Smite is a lot about, as far as I can see, the control of the jungle. Like, getting all the jungle camp, getting all the buffs, getting all the XP. Because in the end, I mean, the game is obviously about, like, pushing lanes and getting to the end and killing the Titan. But the way you get there is normally by outperforming the other team in XP and in gold. And you get that by being in lane a lot, and also by killing every single mob in the jungle, and also by, well, not dying and killing the other team.
I actually have to write this shit down. This is interesting.
I have it all written down, don't worry.
Okay, good.
You have that written down, really?
Yeah, I spent like 20 minutes or so just writing up a quick document. I can give you a link if you want.
So you can just, like, guide us through?
Yeah, well,
Basically...
basically...
What we need to know?
Yeah, well, what you just went over then was roles, I guess, which, I don't know, in my opinion, aren't as dominant in Smite. Like, for example, in Dota, a carry towards the end of the game is very much a carry, and a support is still very much a support. You know, a carry will kill a support in 1 or 2 shots most of the time. And, you know, there's different supports that might do better end game, compared to others, but I don't know, Smite doesn't seem to have that as much. You can still kind of go toe-to-toe to a certain degree towards the end of the game with any other hero.
Yeah, I think the difference is that the late game carries in Smite scale a lot in damage, but they don't scale in survivability as much. So the Dota end game carry is basically unkillable, where the end game carry in Smite still dies to like 3-4 shots from a mage, but he does crazy damage, as in like 500 damage every half second, so you just shred through the others. So the guy that we've been destroyed by in our first game last time or so, Amuzun Cup, is like super late game carry. Like, he does his damage with his abilities in the like mid game, the early game is pretty bad, and in late game he just auto attacks. It's just all auto attacking and those do crazy damage range.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, like, I kind of like that better. Like, one of the things in Dota is, you know, if you make the mistake of letting a carry farm, then there aren't really that many options for shutting them down unless they do something, like, ridiculously stupid. Whereas carries in Smite, if they get out of position, you can still get 1 or 2 people together and take them out. So it's kind of more forgiving in in that regard. Like, you can still take out late game carries quite, easily if they make a mistake.
But the one thing is the same, and that is that carries are pretty weak in the early game. Like, you probably will stick to your lane a lot if you're not like really awesome better than the other players in the game.
Yeah, like to play a carry, you have to be very aware of the fact that your trade-off is you're kind of weak in the beginning and you get that strength later on. So you kind of have to have patience. Like, a lot of people who aren't good at playing carries just don't have the patience to just sit around, farm a little bit, pick your battles, and then, take that trade-off later when you become stronger.
Yeah, count me in.
You want to play carry? That's good.
Well, what you've been playing, like, I think you were playing Thor, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I can tell, Thor's like a bit of a brawler. Like, I wouldn't say he's like a carry, but he definitely gets a little bit stronger later on.
Yeah.
We can go to God selection screen if you want, because that's where you can actually see like who's like kind of predisposed for certain roles. If you go to God selection, and then top left there's a filter. And if you sort for, I think, Hunter, these are generally the carries in this game, right?
See how the top how it says no filter? You can filter so that it goes to like Hunter or the other roles.
Exactly.
And, I only have a hun bats.
But I don't even see that one in Hunters.
Well, I have like this one, no filter, mastered, not mastered, purchasable, assassin.
Scroll down.
Oh, this is a bad UI.
Yep,
Oh,
it is.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Smite UI, to be honest, but...
I like a lot of the other stuff, but that one sucks. So anyways, like these, the Hunters, so in general, they are all ranged damage dealers with bows or shit. For the biggest case, sometimes a little bit non-range, but mostly is. And they will all have abilities, but in the end, they're all about like hitting with auto attack in the end of the game, right? That's the thing that they're really strong at. Like, some have a couple like side abilities, like Cupid is actually like can do like a little bit of like healing in between and stuff. Some of them can push lanes better than others, like Ambuzenkat pushes a lane as good as any mage. Medusa's not that bad at pushing actually. That kind of stuff. Apollo is like Anduor, these are like very much mainstream. Carries played a lot. And then if you switch over to mage are tended like generally characters that deal a lot of damage with abilities. Often AoE abilities of sorts, often very good at like destroying creeps. So, like the default newbie mage is Ra, just like burns a lane of newbies. And I've been trying to play, what's his name, Anubis a lot recently. For a couple games. So these are like generally normally in the mid lane. I think Aphrodite is a bit different because she's often played as a support, just to heal someone. And then if you switch to Guardian are like the super tanky, mostly melee heroes. Hades isn't, he's actually ranged. And they're all about crowd control, disruption. Sometimes like shields and healing. Gep, for example, has a shield. Kipri has the like you cannot die for X seconds ability, that kind of stuff. But in general, they're melee. They're gonna like try to like prevent people from doing shit. Warrior is melee damage dealer slash tank. It's
like
kind
a brawler.
of yeah. It's somewhere between the assassin, which is the like melee damage dealer jungler category. Those generally are the ones that are being played in the jungle. Not all of them, but a lot of them, yeah, are popular junglers. Yeah, and warrior is kind of in the middle. And I'm not really sure. I guess people play them for certain builds, for certain abilities. Sun Wukong is often played as a jungler. Odin has this like awesome crowd control sphere that is just pretty deadly. Witness.
But anyway, other than the roles, like I had like a few things that I just wanted to mention that are kind of more I guess broad about MOBAs. And that's the fact that like some people say that MOBAs have like quite a steep learning curve, but that's not really anything to do with it requiring a whole lot of reflexes or anything like that, like FPS. It's more about learning all of these heroes, because like the biggest hurdle that people have when they start playing a game like this for the first time is you don't know all the heroes, you don't know all of their abilities, and when you encounter an enemy when you're playing the game, you don't really know what you're going up against. So it takes a good, a couple hundred games at least before you can really get used to that. And yeah, I don't know, that's probably the biggest challenge in my opinion when you start playing a MOBA for the first time.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
Which is why I can understand why it's a little bit difficult for you. But even for people, like I've played a lot of Dota, but if I start playing Smite, for example, I still am quite out of my depth because I don't know the enemies I'm facing. I don't know what abilities they have.
Yeah.
But the more general MOBA things they kind of apply across all MOBAs are the fight versus flight situation. You need to really learn when's the best time for you to push into a fight and try to push your advantage, and when you should kind of hold back. And that kind of comes down to getting used to the other stuff that we're talking about, knowing what hero you have. If you have a carry, for example, it's probably not best that you be really aggressive early on. It's better to kind of bide your time and wait until you're a little bit stronger. So yeah, I don't know, I think that's probably the biggest mistake that people make when they're still learning a MOBA, is they get a little bit aggressive, they just want to fight, they're just trying to have some fun. But until you really learn the different heroes / gods, it's better to kind of just feel things out and get used to what the different heroes and gods do.
Yeah, I think like a general newbie thing that is helpful is like only push forward if you really press your advantage. Like if you're 2 and the other guy is 1, then that's a likely time to attack. If you're 3 and the other guy is like 1 or 2, that's a likely time to attack. Like if someone runs away from you who has like 10% health and you're completely alone, don't fucking do that. You're most likely gonna run after him and then someone else is gonna like kill you. So in general, it's good to be a little more defensive early on until you understand the game. And yeah, only gang up on people if you have the overhand. Because like a 2-on-1 fight is most likely the thing that you're gonna win.
Yeah, and like we've been talking about roles a whole lot, but it is really important. Like, it's hard, particularly like because, if you've been playing FPS or anything like that, you're really used to the other people that you're playing against being equal to you, at least in some way. Maybe someone's a sniper and maybe someone's a support or something, but for the most part, you're on equal terms when you come across each other. Whereas in MOBAs, every character is very much situational. They have very well defined strengths and weaknesses, so you kind of need to look very closely at who you're playing against and act accordingly.
Yeah, so the thing I think we should do is like play a game, take some bots, and then we can like explain on those bots like what their strengths and weaknesses are, what do we like care about. I think that might be useful. And we can also talk a little bit about like who wants to play which role, which lane. We don't have to do jungle, but it might be something we want to try out. The question is like, does anyone have any predisposition for a certain role? So again, carry is like fucking farm. Support is support the carry. Mid laner is kill mobs, get strong fast, kill people fast. Jungler is be in the fucking jungle, and then gank people from there. And the offlaner is like survive in the offlane.
I would like to try the offliner. Yeah.
Me too.
What was that? Yeah, one of you could play the offlane. The other one could play like the support if you wanted, because that's similar in nature, I would say. But it gets you a partner.
Okay, it's supporter for the offliner.
For the carry.
Carry. Okay.
So if you both want to play like tankier characters, that would be the perfect roles for that.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So support
CB?
is just.
Yeah, I can take the solo lane.
No, solo lane is offlane. You mean mid
No,
lane?
why?
You mean mid lane?
Yeah.
Okay, then mid, yeah, the solo lane is what the offlane is called. The other one's mid lane here in this game. Whatever. But yeah, you can take mid. CB takes mid. Dave, you jungle, and me carry.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool. Can do that. Then we have to talk a little bit of hero selection. Michael, like for example, what heroes can you play? Like most of you guys can only play the 3 heroes right now, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I have no idea what the free heroes are right now. But I'll check. They must have that somewhere.
You only can fill that
Uh,
not owned. Okay, when you go to gods, I think.
Yeah, you will see them. The thing is, I have all the gods, so... Oh no,
If,
rotation,
no,
that's what
it says
Okay.
rotation on it if you can use
Awesome.
it.
So let's look at it. What do we have? In the offlaner department, I think Cobra Khan is a classic melee crowd control. Yep, that looks like it. So Cobra Khan could be something that Michael, you could play if you wanted to do so.
Yeah.
Do we have a decent support somewhere? What's Tyr doing? I have no idea about that guy. Yeah, melee warrior. Dave, any suggestions? I don't see a lot of heroes that are unlocked, just like 5, and AMZ is gonna be my carry in that case. Shang-Yi is probably CB in the mid lane.
yep.
Dave, you pick a jungler of your flavor.
Yeah, I was gonna get Fenrir.
Okay, then I guess that leaves Tyr for Marcus. Or Marcus, do you have any other character you can play?
Which one do you say?
Tyr, Tyr. Or do you have any other character you can play? Anything that's more like Guardian-ish?
It's warrior.
Probably Emir.
Ymir is good, yeah.
Ymir would be awesome. Kipri
Okay,
is good.
but Emir is guardian and
That's
Tyr
okay.
is warrior. Oh, it's okay. Okay.
That's okay. I think
can play.
yeah. If you can play Ymir, that's awesome. Ymir is
Okay.
like really good at that shit.
Somebody should
Looks
open
solid.
join a game or open the.
I'll do it in a sec. So quick explanation of the heroes before. Okay, we can. I'll explain them once we select them. So I'll start a game. A sec.
I've actually played a fair bit of Ymir. He's like really crowd control-y. Like he's got like a frost breath that kind of slows people, and then like a lot of slows and blocks, like heaps of crowd
And he
control.
has the wall. So the one thing you have to be careful about is that he has this wall that blocks movement for friends and allies. So don't block us in with shit. Like you want to use the wall mostly like in the jungle to prevent someone from running away. Yeah, try it out. That's like the really important thing is to be like a little bit into people's faces when they attack your carry. Chang'e is gonna be like damage dealer / slightly healer, right?
Yep.
CB? Okay.
More damage than healing.
Fenrir, one important thing you have to see is when he becomes like really big and yellow, that's when he most likely will catch an enemy and pull him back, maybe into our towers. That's when you want to pound on them. And Cobra Khan, I don't know shit about, only that he like can pound people. I've seen one guy like basically carry the game on Cobra Khan, but also like is mostly defensive. The main thing, Michael, is gonna be stick to your fucking tower, like don't run out too much and try to farm up. And whenever Dave comes over, like the two of you kill people.
Okay. Sounds like
And
fun.
yeah, my character, I don't know, can wave clear and stuff in the early game, but it's a bit weak. So, even if we're back like, I don't know, 10-0 in minute 30, we can still easily win this game. So that's the thing, don't be afraid. Like I've won games where we were behind with like 30-50 kills, and AMC can easily carry it to the end. The one thing we might have to do in that situation is play more defensively and have them come towards us. But we'll see that.
Okay.
So Dave, main thing is to tell us which lane is off lane and which lane is dual lane. Because I fucking never know.
Okay, Dave,
Yep.
where should I go? Which one is the solo lane?
Check. Like solo lane tends to be the one with the mana camp, which on this map I think might be the left one, but I'm not sure.
Okay, let's just go
Well,
to
it's
left.
short lane, long lane. So like the left lane is more dangerous. The right lane is safer. So typically, see how like the creep wave is going to meet on the right lane, like right near our tower, which makes it a lot safer.
Oh, which person
Nice.
do I
So
have
you go right
support?
with me, Marcus. You come right
Okay.
with me, and Michael goes left. And then we can actually do a jungle start, Marcus,
Okay.
which is going to help us a bit. So actually we're at the mana camp in that case, which is good for me, like I can spam. And the idea is we're probably going to do that together with Fenrir. Just to like burst down the camp as quickly as possible, and afterwards we go into lane. We could also like kill... Hey, Dave, do you need help with the first camp?